how to improve your focus when reading and listening in a foreign language. So guys, I'm not going to waste your time. I think most people, particularly in Gen Z, like the kind of younger people, and I apologize if me saying Gen Z annoys you instead of Gen Z, my bad. I think a lot of people do struggle to even read things without losing focus. So like if you've ever kind of read a sentence before and you've just like zoned out as you were reading it and like had to reread the paragraph or the sentence, I feel like that's a fairly common thing. And you know, the same goes for listening as well. The reason behind that is all to do with focus and how our focus is really poor. So focus is definitely crucial to studying and learning, and leveling up this kind of skill, which focus is a skill, is one of the highest ROI activities in language learning. ROI, of course, means return on investment, and I think in life as well. So if you do like this kind of educational content, hit the subscribe button. But this video is basically going to talk about how you can improve your focus as a language learner who really needs to focus on reading and listening in a foreign language. So what is focus, first of all? Focus is the ability to pay strong attention to a singular task. So weak focus is kind of like a rock blocking the flow of a river. This is two rivers I've drawn just with the pen from the what's it called? The touchpad on the laptop. So apologies for the fact that it looks like a grade 1 art project. But basically, here are two rivers going into like the desert or something. This river is unblocked and it fills up like the lake or the whatever it is, the billabong in the middle of the desert. This river has a big rock blocking half of it, and so only half of this like water body here can actually be filled up properly. And that's kind of what trash focus is. When you have bad focus, you don't get as much of the result as you would have liked. So I think everyone or most people have really bad focus, and it's generally like maybe 30 to 40% of what it could be. So if you actually improved your focus, you could potentially learn twice as much. And I mean that seriously, just because you paying more attention is actually helping your brain understand these foreign words. So knowing that we could actually improve our focus and greatly improve the results of language learning, the results of course being your speed of learning, the amount of words you can acquire, that kind of thing. Obviously we now want to improve our focus, but the question is how. So before we talk about how to actually improve your focus, the question is more of what destroys your focus. Because I think a lot of the reason we have bad focus is because of, it's not really because of things we're not doing, it's because of things we are doing that are kind of making it harder and harder to focus. So there are two main types of things that block your focus, and these two things are distractions and habits. Distractions are things that happen in like the circumstance when you're trying to focus. So things that draw your focus away momentarily. For example, notifications, noise, a to-do list of things, just general life stresses that can actually get in the way. All of these things are distractions. The other type of thing that can take away your focus are habits. So habits are things that you do that make it harder for you to focus, but they're not necessarily distractions. Distractions are things that happen in the moment. Habits are things you do that give you weak focus. So for example, poor sleep and diet, a low studying skill makes it harder to pay attention just because you need to actually kind of decide what to do. Attention residue, I've already made a video on attention residue, but we'll talk about that as well. And I also short form content, high stim content, high dopamine with lots of editing, like YouTube shorts, TikToks, that kind of thing. They make it really, really hard to focus and pay attention. So working to reduce both of these negatives will definitely improve your focus greatly. And here is what I'd recommend you do to kind of reduce how these things impact your focus. So as far as eliminating distractions goes, no brainer, put your phone on Do Not Disturb and ideally put it in another room. Personally, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb or airplane mode, just something like that where no notification is going to come through, and then I put it in my cupboard. That might not be enough for some people, and so I would recommend you put it in another room. And you don't check it while you're studying. I'd also recommend that you turn off any kind of TV, music, or other noise distractions. Some people claim that they study better with music on. I don't think that's true. Out of everyone I've ever heard say that, when I actually see them study, it doesn't seem to be true. It seems like they're just kind of saying that they like to study with music on, but it actually doesn't work. So if you think you're that person who studies with music on, maybe you're the exception, but 99 out of 100 people, I think, that claim that they study better with music on, don't study better with music on, because it's just kind of another distraction. It's another thing that your brain has to deal with, and you really, if you can only have one input, which is the studying you're doing, or the book you're reading in another language, whatever, that is better than kind of having a bunch of things. So yeah, also noise distractions as well, ideally. That one's kind of circumstantial, just depending on what noise you're likely to encounter. But yeah, eliminating distractions like that. Also having like a focus mode on your laptop. So for example, if you are studying on a laptop, you probably have like pop-up notifications from emails, Discord, that kind of thing. Those things can be good if you need to check an email as soon as it comes to you. But you should try and set up a kind of a setting on your laptop, a custom, excuse me, a custom setting called focus mode, for example, that you can switch on when you're studying, and it blocks all notifications. And then as soon as you finish studying, you can switch it off. And if you get a notification that interrupts your train of thought, that's fine because you're no longer studying. So I'd recommend you look into that. If you just Google how to set focus mode to block notifications on my laptop while studying, something like that, you'll figure out how to do it. It just depends on what laptop you have. And of course, if you're not using a laptop, do the same thing for that. I'd also recommend you free your desk of any unnecessary clutter. So I can't really take a before and after photo because I've already done it, but I've cleaned up my desk recently. So it has way less stuff on it, and oh my God, the difference is insane. Literally just taking any like colored pencils and things I don't normally use and just putting them somewhere else and having like a couple pens and a ruler, that is so much better. Like it gives me less to look at and just be distracted by. And also setting yourself a clear block of time to study. So instead of just sitting down and studying, I'd recommend you say, okay, I'm going to study from 4 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. or whatever you're going to do. And then that's a hard study period. And as soon as you finish that time frame, done. You can go do something else. And the reason for that is because when you kind of have like amorphous, wishy-washy study periods, it's kind of like easy to go, oh yeah, I'll just go check my phone once. If you set yourself a small study period to intensely focus, for example, 20 minutes, half an hour, if you can do that, you can go shorter if you want, you can go longer if you want, but you set yourself an intense period of time to focus, and you're not allowed to check your phone or do anything else but study in that time. You're not allowed to Google things that aren't relevant, you literally just focus. As far as destroying distractions, by the way. If you can do all of those things, fantastic. As far as destroying bad habits goes, sleep is going to be on point. So a lot of people don't sleep properly, and if you're not doing this, you can't concentrate properly. It's just true. So sleep, make sure you're sleeping properly. I don't think I need to go into that, but I might go into it more in another video. Make sure you're awake as well. So if it's kind of early in the morning, some people take a long time to get up. If you're kind of sleepy, not fully switched on, you're not going to be able to focus properly. So things I'd recommend are you can have a coffee. That can be good for helping you focus. I'd recommend sunlight as well. If you are still waking up, sunlight is supposedly good. I know Andrew Huberman's recommended it. A lot of people have said direct sunlight can be good to wake you up. So if you study early in the morning, definitely like go outside, even for like 2 minutes beforehand. Exercise just in your lifestyle will help you concentrate, and cold therapy as well. So for example, jumping in the cold shower before you study, I found actually, it sounds kind of silly, but it actually does improve your focus. It gets you sharp because it's like a shock to your nervous system, and that makes you concentrate. So yeah, if you're getting up early, sunlight can help wake you up, and a cold shower is always good. Other than that, coffee. Make sure you're awake, and make sure you're sleeping properly because nothing beats that. You should be getting 8 hours minimum. 8 hours in bed is not the same as 8 hours of sleep. So try and get 8.5 to 9 hours in bed if you can. I'd recommend that. It is definitely, you'll notice when you actually start sleeping properly, you'll realize how sleep deprived you were. As far as diet goes, eating unhealthy food, particularly right before studying, is not good. So if you've ever gone on a diet, which I do because I go to the gym, if you eat healthy, like really clean, and you go to eating unhealthy, you can notice the difference like a truck. Like you notice how slow your brain works after you've eaten unhealthy. And if you've never like properly gone on a diet before, I'm not saying you have to do that, but you wouldn't really realize how like sluggish your mind is when you're eating unhealthy. So I'd recommend before you study, don't eat carbs or anything right before you study. So don't eat like bread, pasta, chocolate, anything like that, because it does make your brain slower. If you need to eat before you study, fruit or meat is probably the best thing. I'd also recommend don't study right after you eat, just because digesting food, it's kind of harder to pay attention when you're digesting food. If you want to listen to a video or watch it while you're eating food, that's fine. If you want to watch it afterwards, that's okay, just because it's like you're watching a video. But if you're actually doing flashcards, probably not the best idea right after you eat. You won't get as high of an ROI, a return on investment. So yeah, I've written fasting. You don't have to fast per se, but it's just generally better to study when you're not hungry, but like you're kind of got an empty stomach, you're not digesting food. Attention residue, I'll have that linked in the description. I've already made a video on that, but basically that's kind of to do with brain points and task switching. So basically it's better when you're studying to just focus on language learning. So for example, if you're doing half an hour of flashcards, don't check your emails, don't do anything else. Don't even say, oh yeah, I'll just quickly read a page of a book in a foreign language, even though that would be language learning. Don't switch tasks. You're better off completing one full task and then moving to the next task. Task switching is a thing people do where they basically stop doing something they're doing and go to something else unplanned, because it gives them a feeling of accomplishment, like they're actually performing tasks, but it actually doesn't. And you lose attention when you're doing that. Some of the attention is left with the previous task. So if you're doing flashcards for 15 minutes and then reading for 15 minutes, do 15 minutes of one and then the other. Don't do 5 minutes, then, do 10 minutes of reading and then go back 15 minutes of flashcards. Like, just do one and then the other because it reduces attention residue. Poor deep work discipline, that's kind of in common, and that does require a video of its own. Basically, deep work is when you're doing something that's very it's mentally intensive. So making these YouTube videos is deep work. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm literally just recording a video. Same goes for when I'm scripting these videos. So when you're language learning, for example, that is generally a deep work block, unless you're listening to like a podcast or something while you're exercising, in which case, not so much. But if you are like doing flashcards or reading or anything like that, that's deep work. Make sure you do develop proper deep work discipline. I'll have more videos on that, but I'd highly recommend you check out the book Deep Work by Cal Newport. You can look up summaries of it. Super good. Also set a deliberate study routine. You should know what you're doing in a study period. Don't just say I'm going to study a language for half an hour and not know what you're going to do. And yeah, be organized. Set yourself a habit tracker. Already made a video on that. But yeah, those things really do help when you can kind of know what you should be doing and when you should be doing it. But guys, bottom line, improving your ability to concentrate on reading and listening is a super important skill. We didn't actually talk about reading and listening specifically too much, but doing all of these things is super important for reading and listening, and I guess flashcards as well. But this is, people generally get distracted more when they're reading or listening than they do from other things. So yeah, that applies to that. So definitely drop a like and subscribe, guys. It does really help the channel, and it does give me dopamine when I see the number go up. I appreciate it. So yeah, if you do have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Links in the description to my website and Discord, which is free. I'd highly recommend you join. It's super good. And have a good one, guys. Thank you.